Welcome to Buzzwords, coming at you from the Noisy Spoon Sunroom Saloon, bourbon, beer, books, and more, where this little piggy went to market.
Oh, wow. Wow.
How you guys doing today?
I'm great.
Scott, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Jenny Ruby Red Kolsch.
Actually, that's not too bad.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's weird. So Jenny Brewery in Rochester make some really crappy beer, but they also make some amazing beer. And I don't understand. It doesn't make any, there's no middle. It's either shit or it's the best.
Oh, come on. You love a Jenny Screamer now and then.
No, I do not. I can't.
Did you ever drink it?
In high school when there was no other choice, because my dad had horrible taste in beer.
With
With the little splits.
I remember those.
The OV, Old Vienna.
Oh, they made everything. back
Okay.
then with
Yeah.
the little bottles. Because you could only stomach so much of it because it was horrible.
That, and when we were kids, this would never fly today. Your dad would be entertaining friends and they leave their empties with just a little bit left in it. You may be just big enough to walk, and you'd grab the empties and drink a little beer.
Sure.
You didn't do that.
When my family was on vacation visiting my aunt and uncle at the property that they have since sold to my father, I didn't drink a little. I was actually handed a full-fledged 7-ounce OV split. Said, here you go.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was in high school.
Okay.
So it was like, and of course, my dad.
In high school, I was allowed to drink.
My dad saw
as
it.
long as my parents were home.
My uncle saw it. I didn't have a license, and
That's
I wasn't
kinda legal,
driving
too.
anywhere.
It's not illegal. It's kind of legal.
And the only person who had a truly big problem with it was my mother.
Really?
Which, as you can explain, most mothers have a problem with certain
Does your
things.
mom drink?
No.
So that could be part of it.
Probably. But at the same time, it was like I would have one. I would think I was badass because of, I was around family. And then that would be pretty much it.
Not nearly as badass as me drinking peach schnapps.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I went all in.
You
I went
do
with
you.
the liquor.
You do you, yes. So, yeah.
Big in our day, too, because we're a little bit older than how it was, the Honey Brown Ale. Remember that? Genesee made that also.
No, someone else
I'm
made
thinking
that.
Newcastle.
No, someone else made. There was a Honey Brown lager that was around.
There's a Honey Brown Ale that was made by Genesee.
Oh,
That
that's
was
not
big in
that's
this
not the
area.
one I would have in the early aughts.
My dad drank no brand beer. Got it at
Oh,
Tops.
yeah.
It was in like red and white striped bottles.
Yep.
I think it's been downgraded. Now you can get it at Aldi's.
Yeah.
It just says beer.
My grandma used to drink that stuff. She'd love a good beer every now and then. She'd buy a 6-pack of some gnome name stuff from Super Duper.
It's really disgusting that no one has come up with a beer and just called it Duff and sold it on the shelves somewhere.
There's probably a copyright.
Yeah, but they could call it Flood. Just to see what they did. Be very quiet with drinking beer. Yeah. Would you like to know what I am drinking?
No.
Okay, fine. We can move on.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking from Brewery Omegang.
You have a thing for Omegang.
I enjoy their stuff.
Is it their Utica coffee one?
It is. This
They
is
make bangers.
the Grand Triple with coffee and vanilla. It's yummy. Scott's going to have a little bit of beer because I
Have
left
you
a little
ever-
bit again.
Have you ever been to that brewery?
I need to. My daughter is up my butt to go see the Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame,
Yep.
and I know this is where it's located.
There's a brewery and a distillery right next door to each other, so you can hit up both of them. And if you do go to Cooperstown, I need you to pick me up a Beanball bourbon.
I have that at home, and we mentioned this last time, and I left it at home. I was there. This place,
I have the Spitball.
the brewery was
Right.
closed, but the distillery was open, so I got a bottle of each. Next time I go, I think I might have to.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever
So-
have 3 Philosophers by Omegang?
No, I don't think I have.
It'll knock you on your ass. It's like 13%.
This one's 9%, and there's also
but it's so good, it doesn't taste like a 13%.
there's also
beer.
like naughty and nice or nice and naughty. They have like Christmassy flavors.
right. They're those limited edition ones.
Yeah, and every time they come out, I'm like, oh, cool, a 4-pack. Oh man, it's $18, but hey, it's worth it, because it's yummy.
Right.
I think I've said what I'm drinking. You've said what you're drinking, Scott. Craig, what are you drinking this evening?
I'm drinking Bullet Bourbon, neat, of course. I want to thank Owen Eichenseer for turning this on to me. I had no idea what Bullet was, other than it's a kind of a high rye, and I'm usually not a rye drinker. But for some reason, this one just tastes really good, and I've had more than my fair share of Bullet. I will tell you though, last weekend was my daughter's wedding, and
Yes,
Howie
it was
there.
I was. It was a fun
And
time.
at the place we were at, I had to buy my own bourbon, even though it was an open bar, because their well bourbon was not a very good bourbon. So they had a Knob Creek 9, which was one of my favorites. I was getting, and this is a visual for you, Scott, for $5. I was getting a glass like you handed to me with that much in there for $5.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
You were getting much more than your money's worth.
I
No
sure
doubt.
was.
Yeah.
We did shots. The whole wedding party did shots. The parents.
I'm glad you
and a
were
couple other
specific
friends.
saying the wedding party. I
Right.
was not doing shots, but we'll get to
There were
what I was drinking in
17
a minute.
shots of Fireball. There were 2 shots of vodka because somebody didn't like Fireball. There were 2 other shots. I can't remember what the heck they were. And then my 2 daughters who were underage had non-alcoholic. It was $30 for the round. I paid for it. I mean,
Nice.
and we also invited the bartender to do a shot with us.
Oh, yeah.
So that always helps.
Yeah.
But it was a great place. Cheap drinks and they pour heavy.
And 2 side notes. One, both bartenders who were there
Yeah.
were students of mine when I was student teaching up in that area. This was several years ago, so obviously they're graduated and of age to be behind a bar. Second note, I went with my daughter to your daughter's wedding, and at one point I'm getting ready to leave. She goes, "Are you okay? You've had a few beers." I looked right at her. I'm like, "I'm pretty sure these were as watered down as I could have possibly imagined."
Really?
The beer, I had 3 Labatt's.
Oh, that's the problem.
Well, yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah.
watered down to begin with.
Yeah.
But it was coming like right out of the tap, whatever, the keg, and if I'm having 3 in that amount of time, I would expect to feel something.
I got
I felt
146
nothing.
minutes of cardio Sunday.
Yes, Craig was cutting a rug, lots of them. So one of the things that's happened so far on this podcast is Scott has said the word shit. And he's warned both of us that there will be swearing in this podcast. So if you're somebody who doesn't like foul language, just warning, we're going to have some of that today because the book we chose for this week, I had personally gotten to this point in my life never having read it.
Which I'm shocked about.
I read
But
it
so
in
am
high
I.
school, hated it in high school. I didn't read it
So it's
for
funny,
high
so-
school.
I read it in high school and loved it.
Really?
Craig read it in high school, hated it. Howie's never read it. So it was kind of like a good selection. A nice.
It was a nice, how do you come at this book? The book we're talking about is The Lord of the Flies.
William Golding,
Right. 1954.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. And the reason we chose this, correct me if I'm wrong, is that
It was Scott's idea.
it was Scott's idea. And it was a good idea. It was,
It was
really
a great
good
idea.
Is the book is
It's a classic.
it is, and it is for good reason. And Netflix decided to create a BBC created a 4-episode miniseries that has been added to Netflix.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was a Netflix show.
Whether it was a Netflix
No, it was
show
BBC originally, and Netflix picked
All
up
right.
the American
Yeah.
distribution.
as a first timer coming to the book and the
So Netflix saw it before they ran it.
Yeah.
that's going to give you an idea of what we feel about this. All right.
So I want to back up for a minute. I didn't hate it when I read it in high school. I hated it when I read it 2 weeks
Really?
ago.
You both. We're going to be all over the place here today. I'm
Yes,
sure.
we
Yeah.
are. Yes, we are.
My
Oh, by the
problem in
way,
high school.
This is Scott, and
the guy over there. If you're looking at the computer, to the right is Howie.
yeah. Um,
Or
you
just
guys,
like lockboard games.
you guys
Right.
both found it boring.
I didn't find it boring. I found it tedious.
I found it heavy-handed. And because I come at most classics now, whenever I read them for the first time, because there's a bunch that I haven't read, I come at classics now like, okay, why is this book part of the English teacher canon? Why are people in my profession using this book to teach something? So I'm reading this book, and I finally got to like the second act, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What are we doing here? What am I supposed to be getting from this?
I mean, that message is pretty clear.
Actually, I think it's clear from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
clear from when Ralph tells everybody
humanity's
Piggy's name
natural
is Piggy.
state is to be warlike, to divide
Right.
into factions and fight each other.
And just generally to be dicks.
right.
Right.
Because Ralph, who is arguably either the best character or at least the second best,
He's supposed to represent a civilized society.
starts out as a jerk.
Yeah.
He laughs at Piggy.
I
First thing.
Right.
part of me, as I was reading this, I'm like, okay, Piggy is the moral center of this story.
He's supposed to be.
And-
He and Simon.
Simon is the one who is tempted. Piggy is not, but I'm not really sure that even that's right.
But they're if you look at the center of the morals in this book,
It's
those
Piggy
two
and Simon.
Those two are
But-
but either side of a center line, basically.
But as I'm reading this, I was thinking to myself, somebody could do a nice,
I love Bullet.
like a satirical cartoon of this or something where you've got Piggy in the center and then you've got Ralph on one shoulder,
Piggy in the middle. Where are you at? In the middle.
and Jack on the other. It's almost like the devil and the angel on either shoulder, and that's really two opposing
I've read
sides.
before that Simon is supposed to represent religion. He's supposed to be
the spiritual guy.
He's supposed to be a Christ-like figure, which I don't get. But
I don't get
which
that
they
either.
tried to get in the miniseries by
How he's
dying,
was wiped away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the book. Let's start with you, Craig. You kind of didn't like it in high school, and you hated it now. Is that right?
That's correct. I didn't like it in high school because basically for the same reason I hate it now. It's tedious. There is so much superfluous action going on to get the point across. Like he's trying to drive it home too much. You know what I mean? Like we're supposed to be educated as we're reading this. You don't need to explain every nuance to us of what's going on. And so that kind of turned me off as a student. And now that I'm an adult and I've matured in my reading, it irks me even more. The content, I think, the message is wonderful because it's a very good message about our baser instincts. But his follow through while writing it just didn't impress me.
How is that your opinion?
Embarrassingly, I was looking up to see if what I was thinking was correct and what kind of supplemental material would help me make sure that I got to the right opinion. My opinion is there's too much time spent on stuff that didn't matter. And I think that once I realized how long do we need, why do we need to spend 4 chapters in the middle hunting a beast? What was that supposed to represent? Did I miss the point on that?
I think maybe you did because I actually like that part in the book because it is a struggle between the two sides. They still want to be friends, but they can't be friends and they know it. But they're still trying. They're using the hunt is it a make or break point between the two tribes? Because they're supposed to be working in conjunction with each other.
Yeah, one person's
going to be
supposed
the
to
hunter.
have
Someone's going to do the shelters.
Hunter, shelter, signal fire, all those different like aspects of creating a civilized society. You know, we're stranded on this island. We need to find meat. We need to find water. We need to find all these different things. Who's going to be the chief? Who's got the conch? Who's doing this? Who's doing that?
It comes down to your most basic instinct, which is survival. So what's the best way to survival? Is to look out for myself or is to work with somebody else? And that's the struggle they're going through in that hunt, I think. So I think that's actually a pretty good part of the book.
See, thinking about it that way, fine. I can get on board with that. But when I start reading books like this, I've gotten to the point now where it's just like, what am I supposed to be getting out of this? Because if it's not obvious to me immediately with like certain chapters or certain aspects of it, I just...
See, I don't go into a book assuming that there's something I'm supposed to be getting out of it. I just go for the ride.
I try to. I do.
As a reader, I'm a pantser, I guess.
And we'll have to define pantser to those of us who don't know what that is at some point, because I'm sure we'll say it again. But the point I'm getting at is usually I'll be a pantser with a book. I'm like, I'm going to read, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to, what does this book have to offer me? I came at this one differently because it is considered a classic. And I thought to myself, why is it a classic? I was reading to try and figure out why is it a classic.
Same thing. Yeah. I followed your...
Yeah, like why is this a classic? And as I'm reading it, I'm like, first of all, this guy really likes the word festoon. And because I've never read a book with that many instances of the word festoon.
There was another word. Hold on, I wrote it down. I made notes.
Phosphorescence. That was in the book a few times.
That's pretty cool. I love that word.
I don't mind that word. Festoon is a word I rarely see in print, and the only time I've ever heard it mentioned in a movie was in Gangs of New York. But
ululation.
Oh yeah,
ululation.
How many times was ul? I'm like, what? Jesus.
They're just yelling. La, 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 la.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were certain aspects to this book, and like I said, I was trying to figure out why is this a classic, because without looking it up, I can't name any other books by this author.
No,
he doesn't really have anything.
Right. So
he's got, I think.
Now you guys both read the paperback, right?
Yeah,
yes.
I brought my copy with me.
I read the one with the picture of the guy covered in plants, the old paperback.
So I've read the paperback previously. This time around, I listened to the audiobook as narrated by William Golding.
I almost did that.
Be glad you didn't.
I had this book originally, not this particular copy. When I downsized my library, I got rid of it and donated it to the library. So I had to buy a copy in order to read it for this.
I almost did the audiobook, and as I was about to, I looked and saw some of the ratings, and like everybody was saying, it's really cool when authors read their own book, but not in this case.
Yeah.
Like,
Did he read it like Ben Stein?
Ask God, I don't know.
Yeah. I generally don't think it's a good idea for authors to read their own books.
They know it too intimately.
Well, and honestly, just because you can write something doesn't mean that you can narrate. Narration is its own skill.
I will say that so far, I've listened to one author narrate his own book, Mel Brooks' autobiography. That was cool. And I think autobiographies
He's a different character.
might be exceptions, because I do believe Patrick Stewart also narrates his own autobiography. So
I read a book in the past couple months that was an author that narrated his own book, and I'm always a little squeamish. And he nailed it. I don't remember what one it was.
Dave Grohl.
It was definitely not Dave Grohl. Golding narrated his version of this book in 1977. He sounded bored. He sounded, typically when I read books on Audible, I know a lot of people like to increase the speed for whatever reason. I like to listen to it at 1x. I want to listen to it how the narrator narrated it, because they had a vision, and I want to go along with that vision. This is the first book I have ever had to increase the speed to 1.15x just to get through it.
Really?
And at 1.15x, it wasn't the worst, but it was not good.
I try reading books at like 1.2 only because
Jeanette listens at like 1.5. I come to bed at night and she's listening to a book and it's like,
I can't do that.
The Micro Machines commercial.
Yeah.
1.2 is about as far as I will go from doing an audiobook, only because it still sounds like the author,
right?
Or the narrator, I should say. Like just a couple days ago, I said, all right, let's see what I can do to find something that's quick and easy because I'm driving a bunch. I'm going to choose this one. And I put it like a 1.2, 1.15. It's fluctuating between that. I went up to 1.25 and I'm like, whoa, I can't understand it. So I backtracked down to 1.2 and the book was over. I'm like, okay, cool. It was something that I had read a long time ago. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad a refresher type thing. It was nice.
So as a narrator, I frequently will do, TV commercials or radio commercials. And it's like, this has got to be 60 seconds or this has got to be 48 seconds or and I will do it over and over and over again until I get it. Mm-hmm. Now, occasionally they give you too many words for the script. We want to fit this 180 words into 60 seconds. And it's like, all right, I can do that, but you're not going to like it. And then occasionally I will have to tweak digitally from there, but I will not tweak more than 3%. That is the most I will tweak, because after that you hear it.
Right.
But you can easily, if I get a script for a commercial that's 60 seconds and I do it and it sounds great in the first take, but it's 61 seconds, I just tweak it. I just make it, 59.9 seconds and call it a day. You tweak it too much, you lose it. So typically 1.15% to me almost doesn't sound like the narrator anymore. But in this case, since he was damn near sleeping, it kind of worked.
I'm curious, Craig, you read a lot faster than I do. You read a lot faster than both of us, I think. But how long did it take you to read this book in your most recent? A week? Okay, I don't
reading it nonstop.
I don't feel so bad now.
So I know some people say, well, because it's written in 1954, the language is archaic. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not at all.
Other than the few weird words that we discussed,
right? And it's not any worse than any of the other stuff that I normally read. I don't mind reading stuff that is definitely antiquated English. I'm fine with it. It was just because I just couldn't get into it. It didn't grab me at all.
The book is supposed to, like, as I was reading up, like, all right, why is this a classic and so on? And why do teachers use it? Because a lot of teachers I know will use this, Lord of the Flies, and then...
Because there's nothing more exciting than telling a whole group of morose teenagers that you should be even more miserable.
It's not only that, a lot of them use this book
I think it's the teacher's way of telling the kids they're dicks. Look, teenagers are dicks, and this is my way of letting you know.
But no, that's just it. In the book, or at least in the miniseries, these aren't teenagers.
No, and they're between 5 and 12.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of teachers I know use this book and then transition to the next book in their unit, which is The Hunger Games, which makes sense. But I would just almost give a very abbreviated version of Lord of the Flies if I were ever told to teach this and then go into Hunger Games, because the Hunger Games is kind of more accessible
Right.
I think, to teens today than this. This is so over the head, banging you over the head, saying, if, these are our base instincts. This is what's going to happen. People are going to fight. People are going to kill each other. I don't know if it's entirely the way the world is right now. I think having the government structure in the Hunger Games be part of it makes more sense, and teenagers can relate to that a little bit better.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, how you discussed how the book is almost unrelatable, maybe, to some of the new people who are reading, because that is a great segue into my first observation about the miniseries, is that I don't think that Jack Thorne or Mark Munder actually ever read the book or understood it.
So I definitely want to get into the miniseries, but let's finish the book first,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
Personally, I felt that the miniseries was pretty accurate. I felt that it was true.
It took
but
some major liberties. We're going to get into those.
It did. But let's discuss the book first,
Okay.
if you don't mind,
Sure.
because we can go on about the miniseries for probably hours. We won't, but we probably could. So, reading the book, did you feel that there was a beast?
No, I didn't. I think part of that is because I've been conditioned reading other books to know that this beast is like a red herring of some sort, or whatever you want to call it. Like, this is not a beast.
I saw it more as the fears of young children who weren't sure.
The beast
what
was a
going
metaphor.
on. Right.
For fear. Okay,
Yeah.
I can work with that.
All right.
I didn't think there was an actual beast.
I didn't either.
They did one really cool thing in that miniseries about that, though, and we get to that.
Yes,
There was some,
yes, they did, and
there was-
I'm looking forward to talking about that. But yes, I'll agree with that.
So, in the book, Piggy's the smart one.
a
Ralph,
whiny smartass, actually.
he is whiny as hell. I do not care for his character. We'll just put it that way. It's almost like when my wife and I were watching the miniseries, or whatever you want to call it. Each of the four main characters, Piggy, Ralph, Simon, Jack, they were almost like a Harry Potter house.
Yeah,
Jack is
I
Slytherin.
I could see it.
And she asked, like,
And that is amazing, because the guy who played Jack is playing Malfoy in.
and I'm not surprised because he looks like
is
him.
he really?
Yes.
Because he looks like him.
I
Oh,
did
yeah.
not know that, and as I was watching, I finished like we're recording, on a given afternoon. I finished watching the series earlier today.
Me too.
And my thought process was looking at Jack like, this is a Lucius Malfoy guy. I did not know he was playing Malfoy. That's amazing.
But yeah, so to me, the four main characters represent different parts of humanity, and
Right.
I think that's what it's meant to be. Piggy is the smart one who no one ever listens to,
Science.
and God, if that doesn't resonate today,
Yeah.
Right.
Picky was also this is his first acting gig in this miniseries.
I didn't know that.
I looked it up because I was trying to look up like what's going on with this story. I wanted to see what X users were saying about this miniseries. The actor who played Piggy, this was his first role.
All right.
His next role is going to be on Netflix. He's going to be in the Narnia series,
I love the Narnia series.
Neat.
and they're
Yeah.
starting off with the Magician's Nephew. So
He's
they're
actually
going in-
pretty good. He's probably out of acting skills, he probably had the second best acting skills in that miniseries.
All right, so apparently we're just going into the miniseries, and that's fine.
What is left to talk about with the book? Because Scott, I don't want to.
Because you liked it. Tell us what you liked
You
about
liked
it.
the book. I
Yeah,
want to
tell
know.
us what you liked.
Both of us really do want to know.
I found the book compelling. I was gripped from the very beginning.
With a boring narrator.
From what's that?
With a boring narrator.
With a Now keep in mind I had read it before, so I was familiar with the story. So the boring narration wasn't
Didn't make
too
or break
much of
you.
a distraction because I knew what he was doing.
And there were points I was reading it where I had read it in high school. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where I was sitting when I read this part.
Yeah. I found the book compelling for a variety of reasons. Starting with, we are first introduced to a character who is smart and has a plan. And then he is surrounded by dumbasses who overrule him and pretty much doom them to their entire fate. And I didn't feel this as heavily when I had read it 30 some years ago. But reading it this time, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we would do. I don't want to get overly political, but Piggy is the Anthony Fauci of the story, and everybody else comes to beat him with sticks. I found the book very compelling. I found it realistic.
They
Sadly,
show religion
realistic.
to be a weakness too, which is not always the case. Sometimes it is, but not always the case.
I think that faith can be a strength. I don't think that religion can be a strength.
There's a difference between faith and religion.
Right.
And that's a very, very, very fine line.
I always say
that too
that
many people don't see.
we need less religion and more faith. And
Yeah.
someone said they're the same thing. I go, they're not the
Yeah,
same.
they're not the same thing. I found the book gripping. You know, you said you knew where it was going, and I think everybody kind of knew where it was going, but not exactly. And those details, for me, were very interesting. At the end of the book, when Jack gets smoked out, or when Ralph gets smoked out, I didn't know how that was going to end. I should have known that they were going to get saved. That is a very, you guys read On the Beach?
Yes.
It reminded me of On the Beach for some strange reason. It was a very,
Well, the same vein, almost
Right.
apocalyptic. And
right. Personally, loved the book. Didn't like this narration, didn't like this particular version that I read, but I loved the book. After listening to the Audible version, I then watched the 1990 movie.
Was it a Spielberg movie?
I don't think so.
Somebody said, oh, maybe not. Okay.
I don't know, but in the book, and I'll reiterate this, Howie didn't like this part, but I thought that the hunting scene was the most compelling part of the whole book.
All right.
Because it had the action, which would draw you in, but also the message of, are we better off alone or together?
I think for me, the most compelling part of the book, and the show failed at this, in my opinion.
The show failed at a lot.
For me, the most compelling part of the book was Simon's death.
In the book, yes, 100%.
Yes. Actually, as I was reading that, when it said, and then Simon laid, I'm like, oh crap. Like, I didn't see it until I saw it. I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay. Do you think there is a case to be made that certain books, if they are read in high school with the right teaching behind them, hold up better in your own memory than those that are just read or read later on? Like, for instance, I didn't read this in high school. I read.
It depends on the teacher.
It
does.
really does.
It does.
It really does. Like, case in point, I hope, right? I'm teaching summer school. The book I'm teaching to my summer school students this year is...
You're not done with that already, aren't you?
We finished the book, but
Okay.
we did the supplemental materials. I taught Fahrenheit 451. Phenomenal book. I hope at some point in the future we talk about it
Crappy
here.
movie.
I would love to do Fahrenheit. at
Both
some point.
movies suck. There were two movie versions of it.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Michael B. Jordan is in the
Michael B.
the
Jordan's in
newest
the
one.
latest one with
All right.
Michael Shannon. Great actors, bad movie. And I never saw the original, but I know based on everything I've read, it was bad. And I'm not even going to go out my way to see it. But, and I know I even asked you guys about this, and I've done it to some success. We finished the book, and then I created some supplemental lessons and materials with the book using the song, not the album, just the song 2112 by Rush, because it's a whole similar thing
Right.
regarding music. And then I showed the movie Pleasantville.
I love that movie.
That movie
That
is,
is a great
so
movie.
good,
It is so good.
and it fits in perfectly. Now, I like using the mantra that I tell my students, like, I like trying to be the English teacher I wanted to have. Okay. So taking a book that is 70 something years old and putting it in front of students today and saying, this is what they were predicting. This is what's come true. This is what we have. What do you think? And having them draw their own conclusions makes the book come alive. Reading it without that type of supplemental material in your face as you're reading it, I think the book winds up losing something. And I feel I might have been cheated not having read it in high school. Does that make sense? Am I making sense with this point?
I think you're making sense with the point. There could be, from my perspective, a certain degree of nostalgia.
Yes.
Because I liked it in high school, I was inclined to like it again this time. Because Craig didn't, he was inclined not to. So it's possible that had you read it in high school,
However I felt about it, I would have felt the same way.
or
Or
it
yeah.
might simply change how you view it, better or worse. But sure, it certainly could. To your point of the teacher, I feel like every English teacher I have ever had has had their own agenda. This is what this means. The lamp is green because George is jealous of Betty's, new guitar. No, the lamp is green because the author said the lamp was fucking green, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not every word in every book has some sort of backstory.
I think
As someone who writes, all of us,
Yeah.
sometimes you just write words to get where you're going.
To quote
Not-
Forrest Gump, we just felt like running. Yes.
Yeah, not every word has some sort of a hidden meaning to it. And I really do feel like every English teacher that I ever had wanted to dissect every book to the point where it was no longer enjoyable.
Forgive me ahead of time, Howie, but doesn't every English teacher think they're the next great American author?
I haven't written that yet.
I don't know that I've ever noticed that any of my English teachers wanted to be authors, but man, they thought they were smart. And
Oh no! I'm smart enough to know that there are many more smart people than smarter people than me. Yes.
So one of my problems, I think, with some of the classics or the things that we read in high school was
I did it, so you have to.
no. Here was my problem.
That's my problem.
I wasn't stupid. Now, I might not be the smartest guy in the world, but I'm not dumb. And so when I read something and then you tell me, I almost felt like they were gaslighting me sometimes, even though gaslighting wasn't really a thing back then.
Right.
But like
it was, we didn't know the name for
exactly.
it. Yes.
I felt like they were trying to tell me like this means this, and I'm like, dude, it clearly means this, or the lampshade is just green. It's just green. The author wrote that it was green. That's it. They just wanted to give you a visual of the room.
Isn't it sometimes up to your own interpretation too?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of times when I'm writing something, I am frequently wondering, I wonder what people will make out of this. I wonder how this will be interpreted.
I think we've come to that point in society now where people are going to write things thinking, what are people going to think of this? When years ago, they weren't thinking that. Something like Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller, right? There's a line in there, be liked and you'll never want. Or he's liked, but he's not well liked. You know, quotes like that. Whenever I teach that, I have students focus on those quotes because they mean a lot. Now, does that make me fit into the stereotype that you guys are describing, which I know exists? I'm fully aware of it, okay? Maybe a little bit. But at the same time, those are key quotes that mean that carry the rest of the play. He's liked, but he's not well liked. What does that actually mean, right? It's something that a lot of students will. He likes you, but he doesn't like you. It's like when like couples are getting together. The whole thing is a metaphor for style over substance. It's like you can talk a good game, but if you have nothing to back it up, you're screwed.
Right.
Just like the symbolic nature of the seeds in that play. What do the seeds represent? Is that something somebody decided to truly analyze? Yeah, probably. Would I have recognized it the first go around? No, because the first go around I was a senior in high school and I really didn't care. But when I started doing it later on, I thought to myself, oh, this actually does make sense. Yeah. How will I teach this? How will I get that point across to the students? What will they have to say? It's not so much telling them what to think. It's asking them a question to get them to think about it and then seeing what they have to say. So to your point, I've reached the point where I tell my students, hey, what do you think of this? What does this mean? How are you going to defend that versus this is what it means? Because if I just tell them what it means, they haven't gotten anything out of it.
Well, so I think that most of the teachers that I have had, and I mean, we're going back 30 some odd years, so my memory might not be the best. I do feel like they said, this is what this means. They would occasionally say, what do you think this means? But then they would go, no, it means this. And it reminds me, it reminds me, you guys know the movie Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield.
Love it.
The triple Lindy.
And he hires Kurt Vonnegut to write. It is Kurt Vonnegut, right?
I think so.
He hires Kurt Vonnegut to basically write Kurt Vonnegut's biography, and then the teacher gives him a D or whatever. I was like, you obviously know nothing about Kurt Vonnegut. And I've always found that scene particularly good. All right, so the show.
It's a disaster from the get-go.
It kind of is, and
it takes a liberty right in the beginning with
and
the
I
pilot.
was mad.
Yeah, like why was the pilot found and knocked off a cliff?
Yeah.
That was not anything in the book.
And
unless I missed it, it was not in the book.
Right at the very beginning, they relied far too much on the symbolism of flies before you got to understand what it really meant.
Right.
And then when they got to what the Lord of the Flies was, it was 2 sentences. And I'm like, what was that? That was a huge disappointment. I said, I don't think that the writer and the director actually read the book, or if they did, they didn't quite understand it all.
I think
So
they
here's
tried
my
too hard.
interpretation. I think, what's the name of the guy that did all the acid in the 60s?
Tim Leary.
Tim Leary. Tim Leary read the book and then explained it to David Lynch, who made this series before his death, unknown to everyone else. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Well, and on Netflix, it says that it's up for a bunch of Emmys. I was like, all right, so let me look at it. It's for sound.
Yeah.
And
So-
cinematography, maybe.
Watching it, honestly, I said to Jeanette and to myself on numerous occasions, and I did reviews on Goodreads, or not on Goodreads, but on IMDb. I said the only thing that I get out of this is that they really wanted cinematography and soundstage awards.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they understand the book. I don't think that they understand the characters. There are so many decisions that just make no sense. The saturation, the bright reds in the middle of the night, but it looks like it's daytime. And
I was trying to see, what are they trying to symbolize here? What are they trying to get over here? It was too much.
And so one thing so the first episode was weird. I think the second episode might have been the same level of weird. Maybe it was a little weirder. I don't know. The third episode was definitely weirder.
I thought the second episode was the best episode.
And then the fourth episode was just off a cliff. So the only thing that I could think of was that they were trying to use the weirdness of the cinematography to represent the kids falling. Yeah.
Descent into craziness.
Right.
The
But
backstory.
if that was the plan, it was ill-conceived and was not.
The backstories that they added in there, they could have cut a bunch of it out because it made no
A
impact.
bunch of it?
All of it.
100% of the 100%
It made no
of the
impact
backstories
whatsoever.
None of it was in the book. It didn't need to be in the
Right.
series.
And I thought that they ruined Piggy's character by giving him a name. Because,
Seriously.
I agree
I'm like,
with that.
wait, since
Yep.
when is Piggy Nicholas
I agree with
or
that.
Nikki? And how does that help?
it doesn't.
So not only does it not help, I genuinely agree. I agree with you. So you're reading the book and you get to the very end of the book and you're like, they never gave that poor kid a name.
Right.
Yes.
And you lose that.
Right.
And just like, all right, so at the end
You
of the,
lose that little bit of sympathy you may have had.
another thing, and obviously, so we're jumping right to the end here, which is fine. We'll bounce back
I
and
think
forth.
that's the biggest thing we got to talk about, because that's the biggest change.
The end of the book, when Ralph is talking to the Navy officer, and the Navy officer says, "Now in the book, there's a difference here in between the book and the
book has a better ending.
I don't know. So in the book, the Navy officer says, "Did anyone die?" And it sounds like a legitimate question.
Mm-hmm.
In the show, it's almost like a joke. Like, did anyone die? Like, oh, you kids are having fun. I hope no one died. And then Ralph is like, 2. And the Navy officer's like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's like, and then Ralph's like, maybe more.
Yeah. So in the book, I think that the Navy officer's question was legitimate. Like, holy shit, this is crazy. Did anyone die? And Ralph says 2. He only says 2.
Mm-hmm.
He
Right.
does not say maybe more,
Right.
because they completely forgot about the kid with the mulberry
Birthmark, yes.
birthmark on his face.
Yeah.
The only people that died were Piggy and Simon. The poor little kid with and who knows, maybe there were more.
And that
which
little,
he does.
was it Percival, whatever his name is, Weemus, whatever,
Right.
yeah, that kid. I'm sure he dies too in the book, right? There's a handful of extras who die in the book that are unnamed.
I kind of liked the way the naval officer is
In the miniseries?
in the miniseries. I do. I like his reaction. I like
Yes,
I like
that
the
I like.
I like the fact that he's like, "Oh, you kids are sure having fun. Hope nobody got hurt." And then Ralph is like, "Yeah, 2 people died, maybe more." And the Navy officer is just like, "Wait, what?" I like that reaction. It's one of the few, very, very few instances where I did like the miniseries more than I like the book.
That's a good reaction on screen,
Uh-huh.
but it kind of takes away from the whole message, in my opinion, anyway.
What do you mean?
Because
How so?
this is about to our baser nature of fighting each other.
Right.
And in the screen on the miniseries, he's like, "This is a game. This is ho ho ho. Oh, good British boys don't act this way."
Right.
But he's on a warship. In the book, he's like, "Who died? How many died? Or whatever." And he's kind of dejected that the kids have turned to this warlike status, and he glances out over the water at his ship of destruction.
Right.
So it's kind of like that impact is lost.
All right.
I could see that.
Now, if he had done that ho 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 and then looked out and then contemplated a moment, that would have added to what the book was doing. But he didn't. You don't even see the warship
Right.
out there. And I think that's a failing on the director's part.
So in you talk about some changes, and for me the biggest decisions were visual. but there were some like genuine plot differentials.
No night battle.
Yeah. I didn't like Piggy's death.
No.
Really, I'm the
did.
only one.
Yeah.
I'm torn on it, and I even sent this to you guys earlier this afternoon while I was watching that happen. I think Piggy's death in the book, it's very immediate.
Mhm.
It just happens, and
And
you're
it's in my opinion,
it's more
it's a
impactful.
seminal picture. It's a seminal point in the book.
yeah, he gets hit, he falls, he's done.
In Doctor Who, it is a fixed point in history, and then they changed it.
Why I liked it? It gave Ralph.
And I didn't like the. Sorry, go ahead.
I gave Ralph a chance to think about all the decisions he did and did not make.
And I didn't like it for the same reason.
Really?
I felt that the way Piggy died helped to, I don't know that humanize is the right word.
Helped to redeem him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't
that was the
know.
word I used
I
in the
don't
chat.
entirely know that he deserved redemption.
But it kind of developed his character a little bit. And that's where I
So
True.
that Ralph well, that's just it. In the miniseries, each episode has a name. Episode 1 was Piggy, 2 was Jack, 3 was Simon, 4 was Ralph. So with episode 4 being Ralph and episode 4 being the episode in which Piggy died, having Ralph be the central character during Piggy's death was kind of a unique take on things, and I understood it. I'm torn on whether or not I agree with it.
I get the naming convention of the individual episodes, but I didn't think it worked.
No, I agree with that.
I
too.
get what they were going for, but I really didn't think that it worked.
It is entirely possible to have multiple things be true. Like, I understood what they were trying to do with the namings, like Scott just said. I understood what they were trying to do with Ralph's character during Piggy's death. He's like trying to save Piggy, but even though he knows he's not going to.
Right.
The fact that he was able to bury Piggy, that was a unique twist on things.
That's the human side.
Right. And having Ralph be he was the last remnant of humanity left on the island when the officers showed up. Having all of that happen the way it did was in line with the book, but getting there, I'm just not sure I agree with.
So as part of the ending, I want to talk about Jack for a moment. I think that Jack as a character in the miniseries was the best character. He was handcuffed by the writing, because the writing was terrible.
In the 1990 movie, Jack was played by Balthazar Getty.
Okay.
Really?
Also, the best character in the movie by head and shoulders above everyone else.
His acting lifted beyond the words that were written on the page, because as they were written, he was just a bad mashup between King Joffrey and Draco Malfoy.
That's about it. You're right.
That was a good one.
But
I like
his acting ability, the words are there, and the writers of the movie took it verbatim from the novel without understanding the sarcasm of 11 or 12-year-old boy. And there's definitely sarcasm in this book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 100% lost in the miniseries. There's not a moment of sarcasm. They took everything as gospel in this book, and that was the biggest feeling I thought there was. Jack is supposed to be the savage one, right?
Mhm.
But there was a human side to him that he showed in his facial expressions
Yes.
whenever he was doing something.
Yes, Jack's facial expressions didn't match the dialogue,
Right.
which is what elevated his character
Exactly.
in the miniseries.
And ultimately, it's Roger who is the most savage.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
But I think that's true. I think Roger's the most savage in the book, too.
He is.
Yeah.
But I think the most amazing and telling part of Jack's character isn't anything he says. It's at the very end when they're being saved, and he just stands there looking like he's disappointed.
When the naval officer says, "Who's in charge?" and Jack just kind of backs into the bushes like Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting, I don't know how much this whole thing cost to put together,
Too much.
but for me, the best part of it was the acting of a bunch of teenage boys. Because the guy that played Jack was amazing.
Yep.
Piggy was also really good.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Simon, although the character was weird, was the acting was great.
Ralph was not, though.
I thought Ralph was pretty good. I really do think that for me, my favorite part was the acting, and which just blew me away.
When they acted beyond the words.
Yeah,
Most of them did.
I
Most
really-
of them did.
I really feel like the main four, and Roger too, but the main four were better than they should have been. Better than I definitely would have expected them to have been, especially considering how young they were.
Right.
How relatively new they are to the world of acting. I thought they acted their asses off.
I love the fact that what I told you guys earlier in this show, that when I looked online and social media, see what people were saying about it, because I like to do that.
Oh, I do too.
I like to see what people.
I read IMDb reviews. As soon as I'm done, I read IMDb reviews and trivia.
I will read X reactions based on, because that's anybody can have any of those, right?
Yeah, my problem with that though is frequently I never seem to watch anything when it happens, and so it's difficult to find.
Fair. So my favorite idiotic one, by the way, was, I think, About Ralph.
Okay.
Somebody watched this miniseries and goes, just watch the Netflix miniseries.
Oh,
Lord of the
don't
Flies.
even go there.
And they said, totally woke nonsense.
Yep.
And every response after that called the guy out and says, what
Where
part?
was it
Where? This person is like,
The closest you could get, the closest you get to the wokeness.
You know why it's woke? I mean, come on. We know.
yeah, because they're not all white.
Because Ralph isn't white.
And his mother was not white, 100%.
So that didn't even cross
but
my
the
mind.
thing
The
I-
only
I noticed
wokeness
it,
that I thought was with Simon in his diary. You're an 11-year-old, 12-year-old boy. It's less about the sexual attraction and more about, I'm alone at the school. Who can I find to be my friend? It was played too much in one direction and not enough in the other. And both of those things could have been played,
right?
But they leaned too far one way
Agreed.
rather than the other.
And the thing is, as I was watching this, I thought to myself, there's so many different ways they could go where it would be considered skewed one way or the other. And they kind of played that part down the middle.
Yeah.
I didn't catch any skewing of all.
How dare any film, hire anyone that's not white?
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Well, for what it's worth, I did mention Pleasantville earlier. That one fits. But that one fit for a reason, because it was 1950s TV, so it worked.
Well, this was 1954. The setting was 1954.
Right. So my point is, as I was reading it, I always laugh at comments. I will occasionally throw some comments in telling somebody they're an idiot and have no problem doing it. But this one, that I just had to point that one out to you guys. Like, yeah, somebody said this was woke because they didn't like X, Y, and Z. And like, people are idiots. People will be idiots no matter what. At least we are being rational about why we don't like the miniseries.
Right.
And we're pointing out plot
It never
points.
even crossed my mind that Ralph is the problem.
Yeah.
No, Ralph's not the problem.
Ralph's not the problem.
No, Ralph's not the problem. I'm only bringing it up because I found it amusing that somebody would even go in that direction to criticize.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that wouldn't even cross my mind that would be considered woke.
Yeah, I'm not sure. As soon
not.
as he started going there, I was like, please
Yep,
don't.
somebody said it, and I just laughed, and I kept scrolling. I'm like, this isn't worth my time. It is worth me bringing up because I think it's good for a laugh for the three of us. But it's just annoying.
It's the same crowd that are upset that, Helen of Troy, who was hatched from an egg, happens to not be white.
Or the Little Mermaid.
Right. Because, real mermaids are white. Why in God's name were the hunters all from the choir?
That made no. Well, they looked like they were the oldest ones, though.
It did.
And
they did.
Why was Jack is like, I should be leader because I can hit the high C, and I'm like, what?
That's the kind of ridiculous nonsense we get, though, in the world today, though. I should be leader because I can do this, and it's something that doesn't.
Look what I can do.
Wait, you guys remember the movie Head of State with Chris Rock?
Yeah.
You ever seen it? It's like, I am your only chance. I'm a war hero, and I'm Sharon Stone's cousin. It's like, what does that have to do with anything? Nothing, It's one of those coming up with ridiculous reasons to, root for or vote for somebody. It's also the I can hit the high C is the equivalent of the person who wins your annual March Madness office pool. I like this mascot because they're fluffy. What does it have to do with anything?
I'm fine with that. That's how I pick mine. All right. So in one of the flashbacks, the plane is going down.
That's another problem I have in both the book and the miniseries, by the way.
In one of the flashbacks, the plane is going down, and you see the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they get their choir uniforms from?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Did they put them on while the plane was going down?
That's a continuity error.
Did they pull them out of the wreckage?
Right. Because you have a flashback. That's why. That's why we have that question. We even question it when you read it in the book.
Well, because in the book, they're not the choir.
Right. They're just the older kids.
What were you going to say, Craig?
That was the problem I had with with the plane crash. You're trying to tell me that so they find 1 or 2 suitcases and then start dressing in the stuff. You're not finding bodies. You're not finding.
You're not hunting for the rest of the suitcases?
Right.
That's my first thought. Is
No,
holy shit, there's a
it's in the
suitcase.
book.
Let's go find the rest of the suitcases.
No, all
That's
of them must
missing
have
in the
just
book, and it's missing in the.
all of them must have just read the latest Batman comic of that year and were dressing like the Scarecrow.
And then
Did you notice
when
that?
the one time they do find something,
Some of those kids were scary looking.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yes, they were. I'm glad I was not on that
Scarier
plane.
looking than I envisioned them.
my question is how much time passed between the time they crashed and the time that they.
I feel like it was about a month.
I like the fact that that's not a definitive answer.
Their hair's
I like
different from the beginning to the end.
Right.
Right. I like that there is no definitive answer and that's a gray area. I like that. I like sometimes when the author leaves it to interpretation.
But it
in
makes
that
you
way.
wonder how long before you descend into madness.
And therein lies the English
There was
teacher
one.
essay question. How long would it take for you to descend into
So
madness?
there's a line that Piggy has in both the book and the miniseries, and he's like, "Who would rather have rules or descend into chaos?" And it's like, "I'll take the chaos." Like,
Yeah.
like he makes rules
least for a
like,
while.
He tries to make rules sound like they're a good thing, and I'm like, I'm not so sure about that one, Piggy. In the TV series, miniseries, whatever you want to call it, they burned half the island in the first episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
Where
burned
did
the
that-
other half of the
Where
second
did that
episode.
come from? Because in my interpretation of reading the book, the fire was pretty small,
Right.
but they burned half the damn island. And I was like, I actually saw it like in a preview, the island burning. I'm like, wow, I can't believe they're giving that away. And then it happens in the first episode. I was like, what?
Same thing too with the body of the pilot.
Yeah.
They find the body of the pilot. That's the only body they find, and they throw him off a cliff.
Well, Simon found the other
Which-
body.
Is it
And-
horrible that I kind of laughed? They're like, let's do this. I was like, well, that's a good way. Good thinking, kids.
But when Simon finds the other body and then he winds up being the beast, it was one of those things where it's just like,
What's with Ralph's visions in the 4th episode? I feel like there were some in the 3rd episode too.
A
Did
little
you-
bit.
Like people, like I remember he was walking like through the forest, and I was like, "Wait, who is that?" And they never went back to it. And then in the 4th episode, they did it, and it was more obvious. Is Ralph just losing it?
I think they all were really.
thankfully,
They're 11 and 12 years old in charge of things. So to that argument about Piggy making the rules, there is no way. There is always going to be one snot-nosed kid who's going to want to make rules and all that stuff. But the rest of us, 100% at 11 or 12 years old, are going to be, there's no adults, let's party.
Right. And I get let's party. I don't get the descent into genuine violence.
In a month or less.
Which brings me to, did they kill Simon on purpose? Book and show. What do you think? Because I think they did. I think they knew it was him. I think they just lost it mentally and then later retconned their own brains into thinking that it was okay.
I could agree with that. I'm not sure I have a major opinion on it because I haven't put too much thought into it, but I can agree with that line of thinking. I also think that when this book came out, and probably up until about 15, 20 years ago, it carried a lot more weight. Today, I don't think you'd see 11 and 12-year-olds descend into chaos like this.
They're too much.
They're
I'm going to say
not
they're so
what they used to be.
overprotected by themselves and their helicopter
They're not what
parents.
they used to be.
Right.
So I have no idea
What
what
do you
the
mean I
story
don't have a
is.
phone?
What's that?
What do you mean I don't have a phone?
Right.
Well, I don't have service. I don't have a phone. I don't
I
have
do
this.
like the fact that they kept it
The
1950, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather
Yes.
than updating it. That's not to say that I don't think that it works now, because I do still think that it would work.
So here's
I
the
would
length
love
of
to
time. He's never explicitly stated, but context clues throughout the book say it's about 100 days.
So
That's
Three and a
longer
half
than I imagined.
3.5 months.
3.5 months.
Okay.
Honestly, the fact that they only lost a handful of kids in 3.5 months
It's
isn't
pretty
bad.
amazing, yeah.
No, that's pretty damn good, actually.
One disappointment. At no point in the miniseries did they say the words Castle Rock.
Mm.
Right.
It was a big deal in the book.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Castle Rock became Stephen King's production company.
It
or
kind of
whatever.
became the tale of the island, though.
Yeah. But I mean, Stephen King created, is Stephen King, right?
Yes.
He actually
created his production company because of Castle Rock in this book.
Correct.
He actually posted on X that he loved the miniseries.
Did he really?
He did.
I'm shocked.
That's because he must not have been wearing his glasses that day.
His son just released a book that is amazing, apparently.
Which one? Owen or
Joe? Joe Hill?
Joe
Is
Hill.
there a Joe Hill?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of good books.
It's getting rave reviews. I've never read any of his work.
King or the Son?
The Son.
Oh, the Son. I've read so much.
Just as
King.
as long but better endings.
I think I might have to check that one out.
I read the Owen King book, double feature, I think it was. It took a long time to get through. That's all I'm going to say. But
The
anyway.
book, I'm going 2 thumbs up. You guys are all going all down?
I'm
I'll-
giving a quarter thumb up.
I will say
Specifically
Just
for
like a
the
knuckle?
yeah. I
All
give it's a 1 knuckler for me.
All right. That's kind of where I was going.
well,
For
the,
the for the hunting scene.
Scott gives it 2. You give it a knuckle. I'm going to give it a thumb up and say I get it because I was the last person in my house, save my 12-year-old who hasn't gotten to that point in high school yet. Everybody else in my house has read it. So, like my daughter, who's 17, she
So
liked
now
it.
you feel you're caught up?
I feel like I've caught up to my wife, my son, my older daughter. They've all read it. They didn't
Like it.
hate it.
No. One of them said that it was what do you call it?
One person's, I think my son said it was disgusting and
Yes.
not worth a high school reading. He's super opinionated anyway, but that's besides the point.
No.
My son, yeah, I know. Wouldn't you go
My
figure?
my youngest is currently reading classics, and she just read The Odyssey. For no reason. Like
It's out on movies.
She's 25. She's not in school. Or she's
I
reading
remember
shit, which
really
I
enjoying the
friggin'
Odyssey.
love.
And then I taught the Odyssey graphic novel this past year to my
Yeah.
sophomores, and they enjoyed it.
The show, I'm going 1 up.
On the miniseries?
It was weird. I really felt like I was on acid at times, but there were parts of it that I did enjoy. I thought the kids did a great job. Would not watch again.
I would say
would
the
not watch it again.
I would say the show gets about a 3 out of 5 rather than thumbs. I will say
All
it
right.
was something I've watched. I'm glad I watched. I don't need to watch it again.
I'm not giving it a thumb, but I'm giving it another finger.
All right. And that is fair.
That is very fair. So, as we have just ranked the book, do I dare ask what are we reading next? Or are we still talking about this book?
Well, we're gonna. I think next week we're doing Carl's Doomsday Scenario, right?
Yeah. Now I'm finished with this one. Craig, you're finished with this one?
I'm that close to being finished
All right.
with it.
And Howie, have you started?
No, I fell behind due to a variety
Howie,
of
you're
reasons.
not even employed in the summer. What is
well, actually, he is this
I
summer.
am. I teach summer school. We've
It's not
explained
a
this.
real job.
I also had to get my son back to college and a
It
variety
will not
of other-
take you very long to get into this.
No,
I'd be done with it already, but there was a wedding in the middle.
I'm aware. I am certainly positive that I will have this book number 2 for.
It would have been done. I would have been in the 3rd, but I watched this stupid 4-part miniseries.
Touche.
Let's put it this way: when we get to Carl number 2, I will be fully prepared.
All right.
All right.
I promise.
Carl's Doomsday Scenario for the next one. Gents, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us again.
Absolutely, it's been a blast.
Always. Always. Talk to you soon.